Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend, and we got this one last week of summer before Labor Day, so let's see if we can get some good information to you. So the 5-minute moneymaker is talking about the difference between women and men, and of course, who is more of a risk taker, men or women? Well, this gives us research that shows 90% of all dangerous driving offenses are committed by men. Men are much more likely to use drugs than women are. Men have significantly higher death rates from non-vehicular accidents like falls, drowning, electrocution, and firearms. Hey guys, that's we always talk about. Like for example, why do we talk about when your husband dies? What happens to his Social Security check? Why do we use that? Why do we talk about the fact that it's when your husband dies? Why don't we say when your spouse dies? Why do we say when your husband dies? Why don't we say when your spouse dies? Because men think what? Oh, well, that happened. I would just sell my house, move into a tent in the backwoods, and or I would drive have you ever heard men say, well, if that happened, I would just off myself, or I would drive into off a cliff? I hear that. You know what? In 35 years of working with people, have I ever heard a woman say that? No. But I've heard men say it. So that's why we do the non-financial, because the non-financial is about what? Security and family, and it gets them involved. It talks about what they want to talk about. Thanks, Mike, for sending in this article about the fact that falling rates expose duration risk in bond funds. Falling rates expose duration risk in bond funds. This is out of the article. If, for example, a bond duration is 5 years, the bond will climb about 5%. On the flip side, if the bond duration is 5 years, it will fall about 5%. If it's a short-term bond, if it's a duration of 5 years. But even 5 years, 5% drop. But most people, are they happy with a 5-year bond, or what kind of bond funds do people buy? What kind of bond? Because what kind of interest rate is a bond fund paying? Is a bond fund with duration of 5-year bonds? What kind of interest rate is it paying? High or low? Yeah, that's right, Till. They buy longer-term bonds. So encouraging our clients to be careful without chasing strong performers, because there's significant risk if the Fed doesn't continue to cut interest rates and bond yields move higher. Because rising bond rates will see gains erased. Unless bond yields go negative, there's only so much more gains to be had in these funds. And I've had guys tell me, Mike, you say bonds, you could lose 30% in bonds. I don't never seen it. Well, I'm saying you're an idiot. I've seen bonds when I worked at Wells Fargo and I sold bonds. I saw bonds go down 50%. I saw bonds go down 50%. Is that a safe investment or a risky investment? Yeah, Mark says 40% in 2008. As an example, how bond duration can cut both ways, both top-performing PIMCO and Vanguard funds cited earlier declines of 20% during the rising cycle in 2013. And guys, was that rising cycle in 2013 a huge uptick in interest rates or a small uptick in interest rates? Yeah, it was small. So we saw a 20% decline on a small uptick in interest rates. So if we saw a larger one, we could easily see 30 and 40% corrections in bonds. So what we want to talk about today, though, is how and why do top performers, not just in our industry, but in every industry, how do these guys do and gals do? How do they do what they do? So first thing I want to talk about is Warren Buffett. You know he's my hero. I talk about him all the time. But he was quoted in Inc. saying that there's one skill you need to improve that you'll find in the most successful people. There's one skill you need to improve that you'll find in most successful people. Anybody have a guess on what that skill is? So I got say no. Billy, say no. That's a good guess. Tenacity. That's a good guess. Public speaking is a good guess. Emotions in check. Keith's got it. Or let me see. No, Bob's got it. Relationships. Asking questions. Those are the things. Not talking. Now you guys are getting close to what it is. He said the most successful skill is communication. One quote that caught my attention comes via the Investors Field Guide blog. The writer shares a story about Buffett telling a Stanford graduate one of the most important overlooked keys to success. Buffett said, "We're at your age," so he's talking to a Stanford graduate, "at your age, the best way you can improve yourself is to learn to communicate better. Your results in life will be magnified if you can communicate them better. The only diploma I hang in my office is a communications diploma I got from Dale Carnegie in 1952. Think about that, guys. The only diploma that Buffett has in his office is a diploma from the Dale Carnegie in 1952. And guys, how much does it cost to get the Dale Carnegie course diploma? A lot or a little? Very, very small. It's very little. But that's the one he thinks, or that's the one he holds the most weight to. Buffett continues, without good communication skills, you won't be able to convince people to follow you, even though you see over the mountain and they don't. Is this important to us, guys? Being able to get people to follow us. So why do we spend 90% of our time talking about communication, how we communicate to people, asking open-ended questions, using motivational interviewing? 90% of our system is communications. Why? Because we have to get them, we have to convince people to follow. We can see over the mountain. We know what's right for them. But if we tell them what's right, guess what? Will they follow us? No. Why will people, when we can help them out, not follow us? Because anything that comes out of our mouth is a what? Anything that comes out of our mouth is a lie, because if they believe us, we'll make money. So anything that comes out of our mouth is suspect. So that's why we have to be great at communicating. Now, this is the Dale Carnegie communication course, how to win friends and influence people. I don't want you to get confused with this next slide. The next slide is the Carnegie Mellon University. So it's out of the University of Pennsylvania. It's one of the along with Wharton Business School, one of the best business schools out there. And so it's not the Dale Carnegie Institute. This is the Carnegie Mellon University. Research conducted by the Carnegie Institute of Technology revealed that a surprising 15% of financial success comes from knowledge or technical skills. The other 85%, your ability to effectively communicate, negotiate, and lead in the manner of both speaking and listening. So, Jeff, can you get on the line? And Missy, can you get on the line? How many brilliant financial advisors have we seen fail in the last 20 years? They're brilliant financial advisors.
Lots.
Yeah, why, Jeff?
They're too overeducated. They're too technical. They're not good at communicating with people.
And not to be derogatory, but how many guys that you'd say have below average intelligence when it comes to the actual technical part of investing? How many of our successful guys would you say are unbelievably intelligent when it comes to investing versus, our most successful guys, are they more brilliant on the technical side or more brilliant on the communication side?
More on the communication side, easily.
Yeah. Easily, not even close. Not even close. It's the fact that, you know what, guys, you've all experienced that guy across town that has everybody in American funds, the 20-year-olds in American funds, the 40-year-olds in American funds, the 90-year-olds in American funds. He knows nothing about financial planning, but he's making money hand over fist. Why? Why is that guy making money hand over fist? Because everybody loves him. Everybody loves that guy. So did it have anything to do with the fact that he's a brilliant financial advisor? No, you looked at what he does. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. But everybody loves the guy because he's a great communicator. So that's why we spend all of our time talking about communicating. So they did a little, basically 3 things to learn to communicate better. Is number 1, get all the facts, never making assumptions. And what do we tell you at 5Q about making assumptions? Do we ever assume that a referral is going to move their money to us? Do I ever assume that a referral is going to move their money to us? No. Do I ever assume that they get what I'm saying? Do we ever assume that they get what I'm saying? No. So if we never assume they get what I'm saying, how do we know that they get what we're saying? They tell us, that's right. We ask and they tell us. Listen before you speak, and then pay attention to how fast or slow you talk. So during the 8 years that I made, $50,000 a year, I talk 100 miles an hour, just like I do with you guys. I talk 100 miles an hour. When I'm with the client, guess how fast I talk? When I'm with the client, guess how fast I talk? As fast as I talk to you, or much, much slower? Yeah, much, much slower. Yeah, I match them, and I've rarely heard somebody who's retired talk as fast as I do. So I go much, much slower. Okay, so that's talking about communication. So, dude, that's why I agree with Buffett. Communication is what makes you successful. I don't care what I don't care if you're a doctor. I don't care if you're a cop. I don't care if you're a financial advisor. But especially with what we do, you got to be an awesome communicator. Now let's dive into what are the other habits that make successful people extremely successful. And here's the thing. None of us want to procrastinate, yet we all do. None of us wants to feel stressed, but we all do. I mean, none of us wants to face distractions all day long, but we all do. Do you think it's only us? Do you think billionaires face these things? Do you think CEOs face these things? Do you think the guys that make $2-3 million a year in our business face these things? Procrastination, feeling stressed, and distractions all day. Yeah, they face the exact same things that we face. In fact, probably a lot of them, because they're so busy and they're doing so much to make them successful, they actually probably have more of those problems. So how did they learn to focus? How did they learn to beat procrastination, be productive? How did they learn to continue to function with high levels of energy? So let's go through their habits that allow them to do that. Let's talk to ourselves and say, are we doing these things? So the most productive people know how to take breaks. Do they work for 16 hours straight without taking breaks? They do not. They know when to relax, refresh, and recharge. They pay attention to two different rhythms. One is the circadian rhythms. Circadian rhythms are the 24-hour rhythms that we have. So most people, this is not for everybody, but most people, when they wake up, that's when they're most creative. That's when they have the most energy. And then we have a lull, don't we? We have a lull during the noontime. That's why a lot of countries around the world, they actually have siestas, because the human body does have a lull here. And then we have an uptick again in our energy levels, and then we start to coast down again. So understanding your circadian rhythms. So if you want to be, what part of the day should we really try to get all of our work done? In the afternoon or in the morning? Yeah, the morning. That's when you have the most energy. That's when you're the most creative. So pay attention to that. But there's a second rhythm. Besides the circadian rhythm, there's another rhythm called the ultradian rhythm. And it's a 90-minute rhythm, meaning that we only can really focus for 90 minutes before we need to recharge. 90 minutes before we need to recharge. So during the first 45 minutes, we're getting more and more mentally aroused or physically aroused, and then we are at our top performance. And then we start to lull our body, because can we remain in the zone forever? Those of you that have been in the zone, how long are you in the zone before? Can you remain in the zone for a whole day? No, that's impossible. And that's why even pitchers, when pitchers get in the zone, they're 90 minutes is about the longest they can be in that zone. And so if we're in the creative process, we should not be working for longer than 90 minutes before we need to take at least a 20-minute break. Has anybody ever heard of the Pomodoro technique? Pomodoro technique. Okay, it's getting huge, and I've known about it for like the last 5 years, but it's been getting huge amounts of airtime with all sorts of quote-unquote experts. And the reason they call it the Pomodoro technique, have you ever seen those cooking timers that look like tomatoes? They're called Pomodoro timers. That's why they call it the Pomodoro technique. It's because after that timer. But essentially it's saying this. When you decide on the task to be done, set your timer for 25 minutes. Work on that task until the timer rings, then take a short 5-minute break. Do that 4 times. Guess what this process adds up to? It's a little bit longer than 90 minutes, but it's around 90 minutes because you're using the ultradian rhythm, working around the ultradian rhythm. So after you've done this 4 times, so it's more like 120 minutes, but then you need to take a 15 to 30 minute break. So you work hard for 25 minutes, then you rest for 5 minutes, then you work hard for 25 minutes, then you rest for 5 minutes. You work hard for 20. And when I'm saying working hard, I'm not talking about physical exercise. I'm talking about what, guys? Mental, that's right. Mental tasks. Mental tasks. They take 5, and then when you've gone through that hour and a half or 2 hours, then what are you going to do? Take a longer break. Walk away. Take a longer break. And when you're taking these 5-minute short breaks, what should you be doing these 5-minute short breaks? Best thing you do is take a walk, clear your mind. That's right. So that's the best thing to do. So top guys don't work 5 hours straight. They work with these. The best people know about this technique, and they'll work very, very hard for 25 minutes and take a break. Because what's happening during this what do you think is happening during this 5 minutes? When you're working really, really focusing, what's happening in that 5 minutes? Besides you taking you're recharging, yep, what else? See, we have two types of brains. One is the focus type of brain, and then the mind clears. That's right, Bob. So the mind clears, right, exactly. So we have two types of brain. One is the brain that focuses, and then the other brain is the brain that when we relax is more creative, or it kind of connects all the dots for us. Have you ever struggled to remember the name of something, the name of a movie or a song, and then when you walk away and all of a sudden it pops into your head? It's because when you relaxed, it allows the brain's creative functions to search out your neural network to find out what is that thing. When you're focused, you're focusing your neurons on a certain detail. When you relax your mind or walk away from the task, the brain then will go out and search the whole brain for answers. So that's what you're doing with that 5-minute break. You're allowing all the detail work you've been doing here to kind of, during that 5 minutes, it starts to connect the dots and see things that you may have missed during that 25 minutes. So it's a really important thing to do. And this works fantastic for learning scripts because you're focused, and then when you walk away for 5 minutes or so, it starts to connect all the dots. Then when you do that for 2 hours and you walk away for a half hour, again, guess what's happening during that half hour? It's connecting all those dots. Oh, I understand why we're saying that now. Oh, I can see, this is a template. Oh, we're repeating the same thing over and over. Yeah, it's a different topic, but we're repeating the same thing over and over. See, it starts to make sense of all the detail work. Because when you're doing detail work, you're not really trying to figure out why something is working. You're working on a very specific thing within whatever you're working on. When you walk away and let more broad picture, everything starts to make more sense then. Detail work, it makes sense. Detail work, all the details make sense. So that's why you want to do it that way. The other thing the second habit is work backwards. Know what you're looking for. What are you trying to do? If you don't know where you're going, guess what? If you do not know where you're going, guess how hard it's going to be to get there? So what are you trying to do? We talked about this 3 or 4 weeks ago about putting together your business plan. Your business plan, you work backwards. You say, how much money do I want to make? Okay, once I know how much money I want to make, I have to go back and see how many people what's my closing ratio, or how much do I make per person? What's my closing ratio? How many people do I need to get in front of to get in front of enough people to have that closing ratio? So you work backwards. You don't just say, I want to make $1 million a year this year. That's not how it works. You say, if I want to make $1 million a year this year, you work backwards and figure out, what do I need to do? What tasks do I need to do in order to make that happen? So the best people start with the end in mind. The other thing the top people do is every single night, guess what they do? They sit out. They speak of gratitude, about the thankfulness for the day, but then they also write out what they're going to do the next day. Why do you think you should be doing that the night before versus the morning of? Why do you think it's important to write out what you're going to do the next day the night before instead of the day of, the morning of? Any ideas? Yes, Daniel. The subconscious works on it. The brain, everybody's saying the subconscious works on that. Exactly right. And you want to define your most important task. Break it then. Once you know it's the most important task, the one thing you need to get done, don't just leave it in a big task. Break it into smaller subtasks and then create deadlines for each of the smaller tasks. Okay? So start with the most important task, then break into subtasks, and then actually put deadlines. By 10 in the morning, I'm going to be done with this small task. By 11, I'm going to be done with this small task. By 1 in the afternoon, I'm going to be done with this small task. The 3 tasks that I need to do this big, important task. So what they're saying is you should take jumps, leaps, or step at a time. Leaps or step at a time. Step at a time. Step at a time. Also, the Parkinson's law is that the task will fill the time allowed. And what we don't want is this. And so I'm going to get Jeff on the phone again here. So Jeff, how many times have you heard that I need to talk to you today because I'm meeting with a client today?
A lot. A lot.
So why would that be an example of Parkinson's law, looking at this graph here?
Yeah. Well,
you actually say the first hump is the first meeting, right? Where they gather the data, and then what happens?
Yeah. This would be very typical. Here will be a very typical scenario, and I'm not picking on anybody. You'll all probably recognize yourself in this. Somebody will send me a morning star, and I'll do it for them. I'll send it back the next day, and about 3 weeks later, I'll get a call. Hey, is there any way we can talk this afternoon? I'm meeting with them in the morning. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, who? Didn't we do that like 3 weeks ago? That's very difficult.
And Missy, if you can have fun, when I was running 30 appointments a week, guys, and guys, that's a lot of appointments, 30 appointments a week. Am I a busy guy? At 30 appointments a week. Yeah. So every Saturday, Missy can validate this. I did all my casework. I came in on Saturday morning because I had 2 small children. So I came in at Saturday mornings at 5 in the morning. And I did all my casework until I was done. Why do you think I came in on Saturday morning at 5 in the morning? Besides making sure I spent time with small children. Yeah, no distractions. And how much effort was I putting in to get done? Did I want to spend my whole frickin' Saturday doing this stuff? And I was never longer. And I would do 3-4 case analysis in 3 hours. 8:30 would be about the latest I'd ever get out of there. So, did I ever do any casework during the week, Missy?
Nope, no cases at all.
No, because what was I doing during the week?
Meeting with people.
Yeah, I was meeting with people. So I was out. So guess what, guys? Was I ever doing casework an hour before the people were coming in?
Nope.
No. So if on Saturday I figured out I needed something, I was missing something, guess what? I had plenty of time to get that thing needed or understand what I was trying to do. So be prepared. You should look like this. It should be a first meeting, and then you should be like this. That's how it should be. More and more prepared. I mean, what do you tell your kids when they tell you I failed the test because I crammed the whole night before? What's the first question you ask them? Well, what'd you do the rest of the quarter? Because when should you study for your final exam? When should you study for your final exam? Continually, day one, exactly. Continually, day one. So the fourth habit is to eliminate distractions. Now, here's the thing. Distractions are hard for billionaires. It's hard for millionaires. It's hard for normal people. It's hard for the poor. We're all being distracted by something that we carry in our pocket, by the thing on our desk. We have way more distractions than we ever had before. And you know what? Everybody has that problem. So how do you get rid of distractions? Well, there is help out there. Download the website blocking apps like Stay Focused. So while you're doing that Pomodoro effect, guess what should be on your Stay Focused app on your computer? Buy the apps that eliminate the distracting things on your phone. So that when go into airplane mode is another thing. It's exactly right. So go turn off your Wi-Fi, go into the airplane mode, Kevin. Exactly right. Unplug your laptop and try to get the task done before you run out of juice. That keeps you focused. So during the Pomodoro break, during that 25 minutes, or really during those 2-hour blocks, should you be looking at your email? Should you be looking at your, because when I was in there on Saturday morning, what was I doing? I was working. I was looking at an email. I wasn't reading magazines. I wasn't reading a newspaper. I was fully focused on getting those analysis done. So there are all sorts of blocking apps like Stay Focused, and you just Google that to block those websites, the Facebook, the LinkedIn, all the email. It'll block it for however long you want it to stay blocked. Same thing with your phone. With phone, just turn off your freaking phone or put it in the other room. If you're worried about your wife's going to call you because she's 9 months pregnant, good. Put it in the other room then at least. But really, guys, do we really need the phone with us? I mean, how many emergency phone calls do we get in a month? How many real emergency phones that if you don't get to it in 1 hour, things are going to be a problem? How many of those do you get in a month? So do we really need the phone on? Turn it off. Go into Wi-Fi mode. Go into airplane mode on your phone. Unplug your laptop. These are all things. So don't just rely. Guys, don't stick the phone in your pocket and rely. What if they? In fact, this is science. If you leave the phone on and put it in your pocket, is it still distracting you even though you're not using it? What does science tell us? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So don't rely on people who are very successful. Do not rely on their personal discipline. They use what they call zombies. And these are zombies here we're looking at. They're zombies. They're things that work without any brain power whatsoever. If you block out the apps, you have to worry about you not looking at the apps. If you turn off your phone, you have to worry. If you go to Wi-Fi airplanes, you have to worry about it. No, it's done for you. That's the kind of things that you want to do. Don't rely on your personal discipline. Just have these zombie apps, zombie activities prevent you from even doing those things. Then you're not even wasting brain power to do that. Also, the Eisenhower matrix, you got to use this. You got to use this. And I talk to guys, 2 or 3 guys every single week about this. It's the difference between how quickly we need to get things done, and how important those things are. So, if it's important and it's urgent, do it today. If it's important but it's not urgent, schedule a time to do it. Learning the scripts, is that important? Is learning the scripts important? Yes. But is it urgent? No. Schedule a time to do it. Schedule a time to do it. If it's not important and urgent, if it's not important but it's still urgent, delegate it to somebody else. If it's not important and not urgent, guess what? Don't do it. Don't even do it. So how do I use this Eisenhower matrix? Number one, write these things down. The tasks I have that have the greatest impact on my career are what? And what is the task that you have that has the greatest impact on your career? What task do you think you have that will have the greatest impact on your career? Not prospecting. Jesus, no, Kevin. I expect more of you than that. What does prospecting get us, guys? How many of the people in this industry prospect? Gosh, God, you're pissing me off. All the guys that said, get in front of people, prospect, bullshit. Why is that not the most important thing in your career, guys? Did I not get in front of people for 8 years making $50 grand a year? Why didn't I make any money? When you prospect, who is that going to get you in front of? Tire kickers and plate lickers. What good is that going to do? Guys, if prospecting is the most important thing, how many people in our industry prospect? All of them. How many make over $1 million a year? 1% of them. So all of you guys, a lot of you guys had the right answer, so kudos to you. All you guys that gave me the bullshit answer of prospering and getting in front of people, I want you to give me the right answer now. What's the most important thing to do? What turns tire kickers and plate lickers into clients? The 21-point checklist. You get good with the 21-point checklist. Get good with the 15-minute drill. Now we know why we have Monday morning phone calls, don't we? How quickly do you learn basic things like, I just need to get in front of more people? No. You need to learn how to close a friggin' tire kicker and a plate licker, dudes. That's what you need to do. So the greatest impact in your career is going to be the GOTS and the 21-point checklist. That's the most important thing to do. The tasks I do most often but don't really benefit long-term from are what? Well, eventually you want to get to your somebody else should do your paperwork. Missy did my paperwork for me because that was a task that I had to do often, but I wasn't really benefiting long-term from filling out a bunch of paperwork. I understand how most of us can't do that until we get successful and hire somebody to do that, but that's what you want to, that should be a goal of yours. My most common day-to-day distractions are what, guys? That are not making you any money, really. What are your most common everyday distractions? Emails, Facebook, paper. Yeah, so you gotta really marshal your forces to minimize those. So I got people, Mike, I got other things going on though. I got other things going on. I get it. And we kind of, we always scratch our heads because we'll have guys say, you know what? My wife hurt her foot. And I get it. Our wives can hurt their feet. I'm getting a divorce. I'm moving. Can I ask you guys a question? When a policeman, when a surgeon, when a teacher, when the person who works at the local convenience store, when their wife hurts their foot, what do? Take 3 weeks off? Yeah, they work. How about when they get a divorce? What do? What do? They work. They work more, right? They work more. When their wife's cousin dies, what do? Do they take the whole week off, or do they take the afternoon off to go to the funeral? So I get it. We all became financial advisors so we could be in control of our calendar. Guess what I see, and Jeff, you get in here too, and Missy, you get in here too. What's the number one reason we see people struggle in this business? Does it have to do with their skills? Does it have to do with their knowledge? What's the number one reason people struggle in this business? Yeah, I mean, Nick's got it.
I would say distraction. They don't work on their business.
Yeah, they don't work on it. Guys, be honest. How many of you work 40-hour work weeks? And Missy, did I work a 40-hour work week when I was making $1 million a year?
Absolutely.
How many of you guys are working? I wish I could make $1 million a year. How many of you guys honestly can tell me you are working a 40-hour work week? See? That's okay. It's, you know what? We're entrepreneurs. We run our own business. We got in this business because we did not want a boss to tell us when to work. That's cool. But if that's the way we're going to run our business, guess what we also cannot do? What do you tell a millennial when he bitches about what's happening politically and he doesn't vote? What do you tell him? What do you tell a millennial who's bitching about everything that's going on but does not take the time to vote? Does he have any right to bitch? Okay, so if we're not working a 40-hour work week, do we have any right to bitch about how unsuccessful we are? No. Does that make sense? It's cool. No, if that's the way you want to run your business, that's good. But then don't complain about not making money. Does that make sense? So I've got guys that say, "Oh, I'm running my 401k business, so I'm making $115,000 working my 401k business, so I don't have time to learn the scripts. I don't have time to learn the presentation. I don't have time to do this stuff." Well, what if they just assign themselves to? They're making $115,000 a year doing their 401k business. They don't have, which means they don't have time to do anything else. What have they just assigned themselves to? Yeah, $115,000 a year. I'm working the federal employees benefits program. Okay, well, how much do you make with that? I make $90,000 a year. I don't have time to do those things. I'm running my federal employee practice. Okay, so what have you just assigned yourself to? I do college planning. I'm on foundations. I do a lot of volunteer work for the community. I'm on a lot of foundations. These are all okay things. But if these are the things that you have going on, guess what you've just assigned yourself to? Whatever you're making now is what you're going to make when? Next year. So if you have to look at your activity and say, is that activity getting me where I want to go? If being on a foundation was getting you where you wanted to go, guess what you've done a long time ago? If running a 401k or working with federal employees or doing college planning was getting you where you wanted to go, where would you have been a long time ago? Retired. So if you gotta think about, is the thing I'm doing making me the kind of money or the success that I want? Make sense? Fifth thing is, again, not getting trapped by email and answering that continually. Also, 6, take care of your mind and your body. You don't have to go to the gym. If you don't like the gym, what else can you do to take care of your body? Walk. That's as simple as that. The easiest thing to do in the world. Walk. There's research after research after research. In fact, there was a study that's showing that dog owners are extremely healthy. Why? Because the dogs bite them with some sort of venom that makes them healthy. Why is the dog owners healthy? Because they walk. So, but do something for your body. Get outside. What have they found about spending a couple hours a week, just a couple hours a week out in green spaces? What does that do for your body? What does that do for your mind? So take care of your mind. Take care of your body. We're going to talk a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit here in a second about taking care of your mind. The best way to do that here in a second. So I'm going to leave that there alone. 7th, you need to change your mentality about failure. Is failure? What do very successful people think about failure? Good thing or a bad thing? Yeah, failure is a good thing. Fail, finally win. What most people think is either I'm going to win or I'm going to fail and then I'm done. No. Failure is a part of winning. Failure is a part of winning. See, there's 2 different mindsets. There's the fixed mindset and then there's growth mindset. The fixed mindset is the belief is that the skills, the intellect, the talents are set and unchangeable. I'll stick with what I know. Either I'm good at it or I'm not. The growth mindset says, I'm going to learn to do new things. I'm eager to take some risks, and if I fail, I'll take that failure and what? I learn more, and then I'll fail, learn more. That's the growth mindset. Fixed mindset, and again, the fixed mindset is somebody who's going to make more or less next year, whose business is going to grow or it's fixed. It's the people who are fixed. It's fine the way it is. The way I do it right now is fine. I don't need to make any changes. And instead, is this really my best work? What else can I prove? How can I get better? Guys, how do we do this? How do we work on our skills every single day? 15-minute drill, right? 15-minute drill. Get better every single day. This is a waste of time. You know what? Learning the scripts is a waste of time. Instead, I know this will help me, even though it's difficult to learn the scripts. It's easier to give up. I'm really not that smart. I can't teach old dog new tricks. It's hard to learn these scripts. I can't. Guys, we've talked about this. How many high schools are there in the world, or in the United States? Tens of thousands. How many of them have theater programs? All of them. So that means there's hundreds of thousands of kids every single year that memorize what? Hundreds of thousands of kids every single year memorize what? Scripts. And what are they paid to learn those scripts? Nothing. And do they get to do it full time, or do they still have to do their math homework and their history homework and their English homework, or do they have to get to spend all their time learning those scripts? So guys, if they can do it, guess what I know about you guys? You can do it. This work is boring. No one likes to do it. Yeah, no kidding. There's a lot of stuff. You know, when my teenage kids told me this is boring, no one likes to do it, what'd I say? Yeah, do it anyways, because that's what will make you successful. It's easy for him or her. They were born smart. I wonder how they did it. How can I learn to do what they did? Guys, I just spent about 8 hours reading 2 books on how to learn better. Why did I do that? Am I going to college? In fact, one of them was how to be a better college student. Why did I read those 2 books on how to learn better? To improve. That's right, Kevin. Just to improve. I'm constantly looking for how can I get better at learning things. That's how you become successful. The 8th habit, delegate, delegate, delegate. Figure out how much do you make an hour. How much do you make an hour? And then do the math. If you're making $300,000 a year, that means you're making $144 an hour. That means anything that you're doing, if you can hire somebody to do it for less than 144 hours, you should do what? Should you be cleaning your own gutters on Saturday? Can you find somebody to do it for less than 100? What could you do instead of cleaning your gutters on Saturday morning if you have 2 hours to clean your gutters or 4 hours to clean your gutters? What could you do instead that would be a better use of your $144 an hour? Relax or what? Learn the scripts. Do the 15-minute drill. So this isn't just about at work, doing tasks at work. It's at tasks at home. If you're doing stuff at home, now if you enjoy, if it's therapeutic and meditative for you to clean the gutters, then go ahead and do it. But if you're doing it because you're too cheap to pay somebody, no, pay them and spend that time learning how to make more of this at work. Make sense? 80% of this is how you take care of your mind. 80% of successful people meditate, and there's lots of different things on the. I use Insight. There's lots of different, but since I've been meditating the last 4 years, my life has changed. I'm calmer. My blood pressure is down. I think better. I don't get as angry as I used to. This is meditating. There's so much research shows you that this is right. And guys, those of you that meditate, how long do you need to meditate on a daily basis to make it work for you? Is that you, Missy, sighing? Are you meditating right now?
I am.
Yeah, just 15 minutes. 10 minutes is enough to meditate. And now, Jeff, I know that you've been meditating. So what have you found in your life that's changed since you started meditating?
I just feel more focused. Like it's not, if I decide that, it's time for me to really get this thing done, it's a lot easier to get things done when you're used to focusing.
So focusing for those 25 minutes at a shot, it becomes an easier thing to do.
I mean, it used to be if I had to do something, I would think about it, do it, be anxious, and now I'm just like, well, I got 30 minutes, and now it's easy to put away all the distractions and just do what I need to do.
I would totally agree with that. The 10th habit is learn to say no. Nicely, of course. So I just talked to one of my favorite reps here last week, and he went on for 20 minutes about all the reasons he couldn't have done anything over the last 2 months. And guess how many of those things made him money? Guess how many of those things brought in more assets for him to become successful? None of them. And it was because people asked him, so guess what he said when they asked him to do stuff? He said what? Yeah. And I said, dude, you are a wonderful guy. I wish the world was made of people like you. You're the nicest guy in the world. All these things you did to help people, that you are such a wonderful person. That's fine. I wish there was more people in the world like him. But if that's what you're going to do, what can you not say? You can't say I was too busy. You could say I made a choice of being a better human being than being more successful at my business. But can you say you were too busy to be working on your business? No, because you made a what? What'd you make? You made a choice. And that's cool. If your choice is to be a better human being than by doing all these things for everybody else except for yourself and your family, you did all this stuff for everybody else except for you and your family, instead of working on your business, it would be better for you and your family. That's cool. I wish there was more people like you. But you can't use that as an excuse on why you're not success. You can say, I've made a personal choice in my life to do all of these things for other people, and I'm not worried about my business, and I'm not worried about the income that I'll bring in for my family. That's okay. That's cool, but that's a personal choice. So don't start using excuses on why you're not successful, that you're too busy. You have to learn to say no, and again, nicely.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, please. Yeah, please, Jeff.
I'll give you a tip, because I had a problem with this, and then somebody told me here's something that helps, and it's really helped. They said, say yes so that you can say no. And here's what they meant by that. I get asked to give money to all kinds of things, and I really had a hard time saying no because they're all worthy. But they said, just say yes so that you can say no. So my wife and I sat down and we decided, well, what's important to us? And we decided, just for ourselves, we said, well, we're really into this clean drinking water thing for people around the world. So we're going to give our time and our energy and our money to that. Now, when people asked me to give money to the Boys and Girls Club, I like the Boys and Girls Club. I think the Boys and Girls Club does absolutely wonderful work, and I support them. But, my thing is clean water, so I say no. And it's made it a lot easier to say no to things because I don't feel guilty. We have our thing. That's what I say yes to, and I say no to everything else. Hey, can you come and help raise money for, can you come to this dinner and it's $1,000 a plate, but for it's this thing? No. Well, what are you doing that night? I'm hanging out with my kids. Can you come to this thing for raising money for clean drinking water for these people in India? Yes, I can. That's my thing. I'll do that. But everything else I say no to. And if you say yes to some things, decide what's important to you, makes it a lot easier to say no to all the others.
Because do you feel guilty about saying no to the other things anymore? Because you have your thing.
No, I have my thing.
Yeah. And it comes right back to focus, right? Your focus is on that thing that you're going to make a difference in your life with. You're going to make much more of a difference there than trying to make a difference with everything. So yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for bringing that up, Jeff. And then 11th, practice gratitude daily. I know it sounds stupid, but I've been doing this for years. At the end of the day, you have to say what. It's too easy for us to say what a crappy day, or the world's horrible, I watched the news, the world's burning. I mean, that's not a great way to fall asleep. That's not a great way to charge your batteries. That's not a way to get a good night's sleep and get ready for the next day. Thank whoever you need to thank for the things that went right that day. Those of you that are free of back pain, guess what you should ask for or be thankful for? Those of you that have had back pain, you realize that those of you that do not have an ache or pain right now, guess what's easy? You don't know how bad life can get until you have an ache or a pain, right? You don't know how bad life can get until your family is healthy. You don't know how bad life can get until your family is happy. So say thank you for what you have at the end of every day. It's so, so, so important. So when you've mastered all those habits and you mastered your crib notes and motive and you're practicing daily, not getting in front of people, because you should not get in front of people until you've done this and this, because these two things will help you sell tire kickers and plate liquors. So that's why I was yelling about people who said prospect and getting in front of people. If you're not good at these two things, what good is it going to do to prospect? Everybody answer this. If you're not good at these two things, what good is it going to do to prospect? Need more answers. Yeah, nothing. Get good at these, because if you're good at these, how easy is it to get in front of tire kickers and plate lickers? Easy. There are so many ways to get in front of tire kickers and plate lickers. And these are the two tools that turn tire kickers and plate lickers into your clients. Do that 5-minute, or read those 5-minute money makers and breakdowns once a week. That's when you're going to close every client that you see. So thanks to everybody for being on. Obviously, next week is Labor Day. Have a wonderful recharging Labor Day, a good celebration at the end of summer. I appreciate all the hard work you put in this summer, and you guys have a great rest of the week, great holiday weekend, and we'll talk to you here in 2 weeks. Thanks, everybody.